everybody, it's Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and I've got a great project for you today. Take a look at this quilt behind me. Isn't this fun? Now this is super easy block, and I can hardly wait to show you how to do it. So we're calling this Diamond Terrace because the way the block sets up, and you will see that as we go along. So to make this quilt, you're going to need one roll of 2.5-inch strips, and we've used Amore by Monique Jacobs for Maywood Studios, and it is a gorgeous line of fabrics. You're going to need about 4 yards of background fabrics, and that's all of this and this first border out here. And we gave you yardage because it's cheaper. You could always use 2.5-inch strips if you have them laying around like I do, because that's what I use. But for yardage, you're going to need 4 yards. This outer border out here is a nice big 6-inch border, and you're going to need a yard and 3/4, I think, for the outer border. Yep. And then our backing back here. Isn't that a beautiful backing? To back this quilt, this is a big quilt. It's 90 by 95. You're going to need about 8.5 yards if you use 45-inch wide fabric. If you want to just use a big piece of backing, you're going to need 3 yards of a 108 piece of fabric. So that's how that works on the backing. And let me show you how to do this. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your strips, and the reason we went with a black background on this is because it made all the strips pop. You know, it just made them so pretty. And so you're going to take all your strips and you're going to cut them all into 4-inch segments. So let's start here with one that I can show you. I'm going to pick this one. I just think some of these fabrics are just gorgeous. All right, so what we're going to do, and if I were cutting this for myself, I would probably layer 3 of these strips together. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut off my little selvage ends right here. And then I'm going to start cutting this into 4-inch pieces. And you will use your whole strip except for one little piece. There's very little waste on this. So my strip is folded in half, and every time I make a cut, I get 2 cuts. And so there's 2, 4... Here's 6, and here's 8, right here, and here's 10. It takes 10 of these 4-inch pieces to make a block. And so here's our 10. And look, this is all you have left, this little tiny right here. Well, it's folded, so it's, look, that's all you got left. That's pretty good waste. Now again, if you use your yardage, your black yardage, you're going to want to cut it into 2.5-inch strips because you're going to need 2.5-inch squares and 2.5-inch rectangles, which are 2.5 by 4.5. So let me get a strip right here, and I'm going to cut some 4.5-inch rectangles so I can show you how to do this. So I've folded this one in half twice now, and I'm going to cut my selvage edges off, and that will also cut the fold off right there. And then I'm going to come along here and I'm going to cut 4.5 inches of these. Because you need, let me look here, you need 1, 2, 3, 6 of these 4.5-inch pieces for each block. So we have those there. Then out of your strip, you're going to also need 2.5-inch squares, and you're going to need 2, 4, 6, 8 2.5-inch squares to make your block. All right, so once you get all of your pieces cut, let me show you how this is assembled. So we're going to make 2 different types of strips for our block, and they're the same for the whole block, but we're going to turn them and position them differently. So one strip set is going to have a 4.5 on it like this, and then this next 4-inch block, we're going to put a 2 on both sides, or a 2.5 on both sides, like this. Now for each block, we need 2 of those with the 2.5s and 3 that have the 4 with the 4.5 on the end. So let's take 3 of these and sew our 4.5 on the end. I think this will make a little more sense as I get these together. So we're going to sew this one just right on the end right here. And I'm going to chain piece these, and I'm going to make my stitch a little smaller, and I'm going to sew. Now 3 of these will make half our block, and so we're going to go ahead and make 6 of these so we can finish our whole big block. Let me get a couple more here. And this is chain piecing when you don't cut in between, so that's what we're doing right here. We're chain piecing. All right, now let me count and see how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so we're going to put this big piece on there. And one more. And again, these rectangles are 2.5 by 4, and the background rectangle is 2.5 by 4.5, and that's important. All right, so now we have these blocks done, or these strip sets done, and we're going to take these over and press them. Actually, let's not press them yet. We'll press them when we press all together. And so then we're going to take our other pieces, and we should have 4 of these, and we are going to put a 2.5-inch square on both ends. Now what makes this work is we're going to turn those, so they're going to go 2 different ways. And so let's go ahead and sew these on this way. So there's one. Here's the next one. And this little 2.5-inch square is going to go on both sides. One more here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my thread, and I'm going to flip these around, and I'm going to do another 2.5-inch square on the other side right here. And let me make sure, hang on. One more. And here's my last one right here. All right, now what we want to do is we want to clip these apart and press them open, and I'll show you how to lay out this block. This block actually really reminds me of a Jello block, but it's so much easier. Well, actually, Jello isn't hard. It's just a whole different method, I guess. So on these, I'm going to press them so my little end pieces go to the outside. And I have 4 of those. And they don't really meet up, so it doesn't really matter which way you press them. And so we'll set these over here. Let me move these out of the way. And then we're just going to press these open. One more here. All right. Now let me show you how you make these blocks, because this is like a little bit of a magic trick right here. We're going to scoot this stuff out of the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this one first, and it's going this direction with the color at the top, and then we're going to lay in one of these. Then we're going to take this same block over here, that's half and half, and we're going to turn it, and it's going to go down to the bottom. Another one of these with the 2 on either end goes here, and then lastly we have one more of these that's going to go up to the top like this. And we're just going to sew this together. And when we sew 2 of these together, that's going to make our full diamond. So I'm going to start sewing with these strips right here. And then I'm just going to, I actually open every one of them up to make sure they're going the right direction. This one goes next. And we're just going to attach that on here. See how that's happening right there? It's going down. We're going to come back up because we're adding our piece that has the piece on either end, like this. And we're going to stitch that on there. And then one more. And again, you have to remember, you know, if you get it on here, you know that's going to be wrong. So turn it around, make sure it goes like this, which to me is a whole different quilt design. It's a lot of fun because if you don't sew these 2 blocks together, you know, what could you do with that little scalloped block? All right, now let's press this. All right, and here's our block. Also, I thought this kind of looked like, you know, if you made this out of the right fabric, this could be a goalpost quilt, you know, this could be the football quilt. But we are making another side of our block to form our diamond. So what I'm going to do is do the same thing. I'm going to sew these together. I've got my 2 blocks that have the 2.5-inch squares on either side, and I've got my 3 strips here that are half and half, and we're going to start up, turn this one down, turn this one up, and we're going to sew these together. And I'll meet you right back here once I get this block done. Alrighty, so now I've got my last piece on. Let's go press this nice and flat. Press from the top. Make sure you don't have any folds or creases in between your seams. And then you can flip it over and you can make your seams go the way that you want them to on the back. You know, if that's a thing for you. Some people are, you know, all into the pressing. I'm just looking for a flat block. All right, so then you have these two blocks, and there is a lot of cool things you can do with these two blocks. But as I'm laying them out, I realized that if I put them together like this, they would form that diamond shape. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to lay these right sides together here, and we're going to match up at these little seams. The only seams that really matter are your first ones and your last ones, because those colors come right up next to the black, and it will show if you're off. But what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that they nest in there really nice and not have any trouble with that. All right, so here's we're coming along. Also, you might have noticed I'm sewing with white thread. Yeah, I wouldn't normally do that with a black quilt. You want to use a thread that matches, but this enables you to see it really well. All right, so let's press this open. Let's see how we did. We did pretty good. Now, this was one of those interesting quilts to lay out, because when we laid it out, originally I had all these diamonds going. Oh, let me get that little thread right there. And I see that I've left my rotary cutter open. I will fix that. All right. So originally when I was going to do it, I had my diamonds going this way, but because they are so much longer than they are tall, it worked out better for the layout to run them sideways. So let's take a look at the quilt and see what we've got here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sideways diamonds, and then one, wait, look right here. See what I did to stagger them? I used a half of a diamond on either end. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 diamonds that you don't want to sew together, because those are going to go on every other row so that it staggers the look. Now you can lay them out whole, but I like the staggered look. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows down with 5 across, and that's how it works out. It makes a 90 by 95 quilt, so it makes a great quilt. Again, I'm just going to sew them together like this, you know, sew my rows together. But when I start that next row right here, see, it has a half block on that row at the beginning and a half block over here on the end. And so it just staggers it, offsets it, and gives it that really cool pattern. So this is a fun one to make. I'm actually really interested to look at different ways to set these blocks, because I think this is a pretty versatile block. It gives you that kind of Jello look without the Jello work. And we are calling this Diamond Terrace. And we hope you enjoyed this tutorial from the Missouri Star Quilt Company.